Well, a very yeah. Hold on. All right. Well, a very good morning to everybody here on the Jay and Trey podcast. Just kind of settling in ways here, so bear with us. But you guys are watching us live from the StreamYard studio. Create your podcast logos or create your podcast, YouTube videos, virtual business meetings, and more. StreamYard.com. For more information, try out their free version today. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Place It. Places by Envato. Create your mockups, logos, and videos. All through Place It. Placeit.net's the way to go to find more information. Last but not least, I'd like to give a shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and band. Find your perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. Check out epidemicsound.com for more details. All right. Trey's in the studio. We're barely waking up here on a Saturday morning. I know we don't typically do this, but it's a busy day on our end, so let's not waste any more time and get right down to the business. Jay and Trey podcast starts next. Well, a very happy Saturday morning. We're up. It is cold as hell outside right now. Thinking about this at the end of March. It is that cold. Come on, man. Like, I'm dying here right now. And just how cold it is. Come on. It is a Saturday, March 26, 2022. Like I mentioned this past week, this is not our normal schedule. We are going off of it because Trey and I have some big events we'll explain just a little bit to you guys. But we'll be back again from 10 to midnight tomorrow. And then we're going to have a special week for you next week, which is going to be fun to and tell. But, I mean, come on. It's our show. Come on. Like, come on in, come join us. I mean, wake up early in the morning with us. Who doesn't want to be, who wouldn't want to see our perfect little faces on a Saturday morning, after a dreadful week? I mean, Trey, you look just as beautiful as well.
I felt like crap for the last 2 days, and I'm
Good
still
morning,
here.
sunshine. How you doing?
Good morning. I feel like crap.
Do you know?
Sinuses are horrible.
Is it really? Well,
Yes.
I'm like, okay, hold on. Maybe, usually you typically join in about, I don't know, 15 minutes prior to the actual show. And you actually, you checked my message early on, and I'm like, is he okay? I first thought that maybe you just slept in.
No, I was up.
You're like, screw this. He could do the show on his own. I'm just gonna sleep in today.
Nope, I'm here. I wasn't gonna do that to you.
No, that's very good. Well, thank you. Welcome. Good morning to you, Trey. I mean, all right, let's not waste any time. Let's get to the breaking news that broke out yesterday. That kind of right, almost about an hour we went off air. It was announced that Triple H officially announces his retirement from in-ring competition. I mean, it's to me, it's something that we have seen. I guess I could have seen it ever since the Hell in a Cell match that he had with The Undertaker. I kind of felt like these were the last runs for both of these guys, in honest opinion. I mean, they're up there in age. They just didn't have any more stories to tell. I mean, he found a couple more with Roman Reigns, but I mean, honestly, were you really shocked to see that he was actually, retiring now? I mean, after He had, I believe, what stints put in a couple of months ago, back in the fall last year.
I mean, it's definitely heartbreaking. I knew it was going to happen, just because of his heart condition.
Right.
Because
I
he
mean,
was obviously in heart failure, which obviously it's too risky to get into that ring. But
right.
it's just sad, because he is the game. He is one tough son of a gun, and he's one of the best in ring performers of all time.
King of Kings, Cerebral Assassin. I mean, listen, it's it's imperative that I didn't find it as much of a shock or disappointment. For me, yeah, it is. It's kind of one of those difficult outcomes to come to settle with terms with when you know that, hey, one of your favorite wrestlers that you grew up watching, that paved the way for professional wrestling in your era, is no longer wrestling. I mean, we've seen this with The Undertaker. We've seen this with Shawn Michaels. I mean, Shawn Michaels, man, he's not retiring. Really? Come on. Don't lie to me here. The
Hmm.
Undertaker. I mean, when he came out in 2022, as much as it was needed for him to retire, because let's face it, Trey, he was at the end of his wits. We knew that. I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of, as fans, we could probably speculate that he was at the end of his wits. He didn't look so good in the ring, even like 5 years prior to that. And it is a tough pill to swallow, but it's also a recognition of, let's celebrate his career now. Because like I just mentioned, Trey, he did pave the way for many, to what wrestling is today, especially in the WWE. I wanted to pull up this here. I wanted to go over this list. Um, there was a post on Facebook, as we get to this, and just kind of what before I share this, what are your when you think of Triple H, you think of the rest, you think of the matches. What are
Hmm.
your favorite matches of Triple H?
Uh, my favorite matches, I'm gonna say, is with Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. Them hard hitting, bloody matches that he's had with Shawn Michaels. Also, Ric Flair. Um, and also, what was the other one? I really liked the matches with him and with DX, but I cannot leave out the Hell in a Cell matches with the Undertaker.
Yeah, man, I think that's the feud with the Undertaker. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the Undertaker and Triple H is the only. Well, Triple H is the only opponent that the Undertaker went against at WrestleMania 3 times.
Uh,
I don't remember the Undertaker facing. I mean, I remember facing opponents twice. I'll have to look into that. But if I'm not mistaken, he's attempted 3 times and he failed 3 times.
mm.
Um,
But I mean, what's your favorite matches
I
with
mean,
him?
overall, listen, you could talk about all the great accolades that he's accomplished, the feuds that he's
Hmm.
had with I never really got a chance to see him a whole lot. Less to be honest, I was a SmackDown person, and he wasn't a SmackDown person until towards the end of his career. So, a chance to see him until he was with I didn't get a chance to see him when he was with Evolution. I didn't get a chance to see him when he was with 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 DX. Yeah, I didn't see the DX stuff because we didn't that time. I was kind of just right after that time where I was on SmackDown. I wasn't on Raw. But looking back on his, on a career, worthy Hall of Fame career worthy, we know he's, undoubtedly he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But you have, yeah, Undertaker, the storyline he told with Shawn Michaels. I mean, there's so many, stories. Cactus teaming up with Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
Remember that? Stone Cold, Stone Cold Steve Austin teaming up with him. Having some great matches with guys like Bret Hart, having some great matches with Batista. John Cena was a good feud to have. as well. Here's a list, and I want to just share the list out to you, and I want you to let me know what you think. Here are I say, all right, 6 matches, 5 matches, 5 matches that should probably be rewatched, but I don't know if you remember these matches. But these are, tell me if these 5 matches, tell me which one's your favorite out of these 5 matches, okay? So I got, the first one was Triple H versus Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble 2000. Triple H versus The Undertaker WrestleMania 28 in the Hell in a Cell. Triple H versus Chris Benoit versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 20. Triple H versus Shawn Michaels non-sanctioned match, SummerSlam 2002. That was the match that when Shawn Michaels went on that injury, list for a while, that was his first opponent coming back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last but not least, Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. 3 stages of hell at No Way Out 2001. Yeah.
I mean that's some pretty good matches. I'm gonna say first of all, I know I've seen Triple H versus Cactus Jack, but I can't remember the exact match.
That was a long time ago, huh?
I did and remember watching the No Exchange match with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. That was really awesome. So I'm gonna say that one, and it's tied with the Hell in a Cell with the Undertaker.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, listen, that's fair enough. I love, he's had to get matches with. I believe he's had matches with Goldberg.
Yes, he has.
Wasn't Triple H the first match that Goldberg had in the WWE?
That was actually
Who was it?
The Rock.
Was it The Rock?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, Goldberg faced Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship, and
I think one of the most stupid segments I've seen was his feud with Scott Steiner, and the whole Macho Man. I'm bigger than you. Type. I'm more of a buff guy than you. And did the workout stuff. I mean, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I've watched him a lot more on SmackDown compared to Raw because that was just when I was growing up. That's what I had to work with. But I mean, listen, he is the cerebral assassin. He is the game. He is the king of kings. He's the only one that was able to come out to Motorhead. I mean, no one's really able to pull what he's been able to pull over the last, several years.
There's another feud that I cannot not mention, and that is with Randy Orton, where they were fighting for the WWE title, and Triple H actually showed up at Randy Orton's house, and Randy Orton went through the window.
Right.
But that was a good feud.
I mean, you can't you can't ignore that one.
You definitely can't. Now, if it wasn't for Triple H, Randy Orton wouldn't be Randy Orton today.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Triple H, there wouldn't be a Batista.
Well, okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's face it. I do agree with you that if it wasn't for Randy Orton, I mean Ric Flair got another hype throughout that time. Batista, I personally feel though, and I get it. I understand. I agree with you, but you know who? It's kind of like the similarities here because the one person I really felt Triple H solely infected his career on was Shawn Michaels by teaming up with him for DX. Yes. Because I don't really know how much more Shawn Michaels really had after, until he teamed up with DX, right? That's my
Mhm.
opinion. But let's share some similarities because I hate to bring this up over and over and over again, and I really hate taking the spotlight away. But the three guys that Triple H, worked around with on Raw for Evolution, those, as much as Triple H impacted their careers and elevating them even more, you could say the same thing about The Undertaker doing the same thing to those three guys. Because when you
Yes.
talk about, we mentioned this already here about The Undertaker and Ric Flair and how that WrestleMania match rejuvenated Ric Flair's career for even longer, right? We've
Hmm.
also talked about, we've also talked about, how Randy Orton and The Undertaker saved, or The Undertaker worked a year and kind of gave Randy Orton his I guess his walking boots in the WWE because I mean, have you heard the story between the feud between the Undertaker and Randy Orton?
I have.
Where Randy Orton didn't bother even show up through walkthroughs at WrestleMania. Then they go on this whole 10-month run, this whole phenomenal thing that he did, really put him on the map.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Evolution did that too, but this feud is probably, I mean, I would arguably say, besides Triple H's feud with Randy Orton, this is one of the greatest feuds I've seen. Also, arguably to say to be with Batista as well, because the Undertakers came out and said, "Hey, Batista is one of my best opponents I've ever faced." Right?
Hmm.
So, in an opinion, what I mean, Triple H and what he's done, he's also been able to do with the Undertaker. Just has left the same pathways. You want to talk about that? You talk about, like, okay, how, like I said, we just mentioned Shawn Michaels. How much of Shawn Michaels would have been, um, how much of Shawn Michaels' career further it wouldn't have been because of teaming up with Triple H, or how much do you really think John Cena would have got over if it wasn't for Triple H? Right? I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying it was a passing on the torch, but he also he was involved in some of those great feuds with John Cena. I don't remember. I mean, I remember didn't they face each other at WrestleMania? I don't remember the year and date.
Yes, they did. They were also in the triple threat match with Randy Orton,
Right. I
but
mean, I'm
also
just
the WWE Championship. So
right. Yeah. I mean, Triple H has gotten a hold, the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship, the tag team titles. Great, like I said, listen, great career. I had a good friend that, I went back and forth at the time that Triple H and The Undertaker went. I really felt that, throughout this ending of an era, I felt like, The Undertaker was, I mean, I know he played more of I mean, Triple H took the flagship show and made it what it was. He was one of those founding, guys, through the ruthless aggression era to keep the flagship show on Monday Night Raw how it was. And when you started separating that, you moved The Undertaker to SmackDown, which thank goodness, because I wouldn't have been a big of Undertaker fan as I was. And he kind of helped. Yeah, I might want to say he carried SmackDown on his shoulders, but he was one of those guys you could always go back and rely on. Triple H was the same thing to Raw for many years. When you need a desperate person that can entertain you, you called on Triple H, and he was the one there for you. I mean, you had guys like John Cena, Randy Orton, Carlito, Jeff Hardy at the time. All those guys are, putting on a show. But then when you immediately need that somebody pop, that special pop once in a while, even from time to time, or to play that bad guy, you called on Triple H. So he was able to wear many hats in many positions. Even the stuff. I mean, I'm not. I'm hoping that this is not the last we see of Triple H. I sure hope he still has somewhere that he belongs in the business aspect of whether he's still, maybe taking a backstage role working with these younger performers like Shawn Michaels is doing, or, whether it's somebody else, in a different position. But good
did
morning,
you
Armchair.
Did you watch the interview that he had?
I have not yet.
He tells you what he does now.
What does he do?
He
I don't know.
said
That's why I'm asking.
he said he's right now he's focused on recruiting future wrestlers. He's not really at any of the shows.
Mhm.
He's more working at the office
Okay.
and traveling to recruit new wrestlers.
I mean,
And
and
that's
look
what
at
he's
some of the guys. Look at some of the guys in NXT right now. They don't look terrible. They look really good. Looks like the recruiting job. If that's what he's doing his job at recruiting. But I thought
and
it was
he
worth enough spending the first segment on
yes.
talking about Triple H.
I mean he did mention Stevenson. I don't know if
Okay.
he was the one that brought him in, but he did mention him.
Right.
But I would totally go watch that interview because it was really heartfelt, and he almost he was trying to hold back tears because he really got in depth with his condition, and he still is only at 50% of himself.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you can be sad about his retirement. We all knew it was coming to an end at some point. I'm surprised it took this long before it was announced because he hasn't really showed up years to come. But, listen, a remembrance of a career to a in-ring career to Triple H. And hopefully, like I said, at some point, maybe we can see him just do some, non-in-ring stuff. That's on camera, like a managed, another management experience, or something where we can see him on the screen once more, because that's one thing I think we're also excited, that we want to also be able to see that he's doing well by seeing him on TV type thing. But Armchair Booking says they're going to be doing a recording of Triple H on Monday. That's exciting.
It is.
I can't wait to watch that.
Triple H also announced that he was supposed to have a match at Dallas.
Probably at NXT Takeover.
He was actually supposed to wrestle at WrestleMania. He had plans. He had the match down and on the books and everything up until this happened. So,
gosh. All right, well, I mean, hey, listen, we'll talk about that because we have a lot of SmackDown to talk about.
Yes.
Coming up next, I want to talk about some other history news, breaking news coming out yesterday with St. Peter's. That's all coming your way. Just sit tight, you guys. We got 2 hours in for you guys today. That's Trey. I'm Justin. Thank you guys for watching us. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, hit that like, share, and subscribe. Press those notifications. Don't miss a single episode. You guys got to get going. That's fine. To download us and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts at the TNC Sports Talk. Also, don't be afraid to follow us on social media. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Much more. All right. 2 hours on the way. We'll take a time out. We'll be right back here on the James Rip Podcast.
I'm somewhere in the middle. Try to find myself again. But life is one big riddle of the future and what's been. Guess it's the way it goes, and I will never know why you let me go. Look to the left, look to the right, nothing can stop me in the night, like I am leaving all the bad stuff and trying to remain so strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it, I gotta go, 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 running to better times. Go, 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 from my emotions I'll go, 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 running to better times, 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 to better times. you took. But now it looks like acting, like we were fiction in a book. Guess it's the way it goes, and I will never know why you let me go. Look to the left, look to the right, nothing can stop me in the night, like I am leaving all the bad stuff and trying to remain strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it, I gotta go, running to better times. Go, from my emotions I'll go, running to better times, to better times, to better times, to better times, to better times.
All right. 10:27 here, taking you guys up until high noon on the Jay and Trey podcast. What do you think of that, Trey?
What? The picture?
I want to remove that. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of like the intro setting. Coming back from break. You don't like it?
I mean, I do. I was
Yeah. Coming back from break.
looking at
See this? Yeah. Just see the holy crap Yosemite's that I have in the background.
I was actually looking to see. I thought you were doing that because you were trying to get me to look to see if there's anything new.
Oh no. I wasn't trying to get you to look at it. It's kind of more like an entrance review. I mean, there will be some new stuff added to this by the end of this weekend.
That Hall of Fame ring is freaking awesome.
You know, kind of giving everyone an opportunity to kind of see that, and you know, they don't really have a good picture of everything that's up there, but you know, like in the background compared to what I have back here. So,
Right.
I mean, either way, it's pretty good. Just trying to deal with the noise because I'm here. I don't know if it echoes on your end, but you know, I'm hearing like two microphones, and I'm like, it's echoing on top of each other and all that good stuff. All right, something we really haven't been getting to, and we still have a lot to get to. We have buy or sell. I'm still working on that I think is a new game that I think you'll like. We were going to talk about heavily on SmackDown, how that progression paved ways, but also some breaking news that came out yesterday. You're the actually one, Trey, that actually messaged me on this yesterday about St. Peter's and the NCAA tournament. I'm just going to keep on blabbling away. St. Peter's is the first team in the ranked 15 in the NCAA tournament that is in the that's in the final 8.
Yeah, first time in history that 15 seed has ever been in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, I don't know how many, you know, there's always that fairy tale story, in my opinion, that is, there's always that fairy tale story in, you know, in the NCAA tournament. You know, you have coming up in the Elite 8 this weekend, Arkansas and Duke, North Carolina. Then you have number 1 Kansas taking on number 10 Miami, and then Houston, number 5, take on number 2 Villanova. A lot of them look reasonable when it comes down to matchups. What looks out of what really stands out is St. Peter's taking on North Carolina. Number 15 takes on a number 18. I mean, we don't see number 2s kind of dominate. We're seeing the 2s. There's 2 number 2s. They're kind of dominating the division. Kansas City and number 1 still finding their way in there. I mean, Gonzaga lost, which is pretty, impressive to see. But yeah, this is the Elite Eight is very new, very different. All right. So on one side of the bracket, while we're talking about this, who do you think is going to come in and win this week? And we have two games, two games each day. Coming into today's game, let me see if I have. See, I have it under scrolling, so bear with me. I have it under my banner. If I can find it. All right. Coming into today's game, you have number 5 Houston taking on number 2 Villanova. Okay. So who do you like? Okay, so number 5 Houston taking on number 2 Villanova. Who do you think is going to win out of that bracket?
Number 2 Villanova.
Okay. On the other side of things, you got Kansas, number 1, taking on Miami.
Ooh, that's gonna be
Miami, Florida, not Miami, Ohio.
Right. I'm gonna go. Was it Kansas?
Kansas ranked number 1.
I'm going with Kansas.
Okay, and then what about the others? So that basically in the Final Four, which is next Saturday night 1 of WrestleMania, you got Villanova, you got Kansas, and that's who you have. And unfortunately, I have the same thing too, unless Houston can pull off a victory. But coming on to the other side of the bracket, we have number 4 Arkansas taking on number 2 Duke.
Oh, I'm gonna go with Duke.
Duke. Okay.
I kept up with them for years when I was doing these brackets with my friends, so I'm definitely gonna pick Duke.
I feel like a lot of people like Duke. And then you got number 8 North Carolina taking on number 15 St. Peter's, which is the
honestly, I think obviously St. Peter's is doing good. I don't see them advancing. I think their luck's going to come to an end. Okay. So I'm picking not St. Peter's.
As much as I want to sit here and say that, listen, every team has a fairy tale story.
Oh yeah.
If St. Peter's could make it, I mean, they don't play until tomorrow night. I honestly believe that St. Peter's can and could beat North Carolina to advance to the Final Four. Now, I don't think that they will make it to the finals. That's next Monday, but I will say my Final Four. I'm going to predict Villanova taking on Kansas, Duke takes on St. Peter's. I mean, everyone has that fairy tale story, and that's the fairy tale story.
It definitely is.
Armchair Booking says if North Carolina and Duke both win, this will be the first time they will ever face each other in the NCAA tournament. Hey, that's, listen, either way, I think it's going to be an exciting because you either have a ranked 15 seed. Now, just because St. Peter's is ranked 15, I don't want you to get the impression that St. Peter's is not a good basketball team. Because a lot of these rankings, I mean, I don't know how much and I mean, from my following this year, and I don't follow a whole bunch, but I mean, I'm pretty sure St. Peter's is better than San Diego State, and San Diego State was ranked higher in their conference or in their region, in the tournament.
I mean,
St. Peter's didn't have to. I don't think did St. Peter's have to compete in the first 4? If Armchair Booking was in here,
I'm pretty sure because
no, but that's ranked 16, aren't they not? Yeah,
I know they did an upset to Kentucky,
that was
and I was like, oh gosh, they took out UK, and I was like, now they're this far, it's like maybe I should not overlook them, but I think the fairy tale is going to end. I'll be very shocked if they get past them.
There we go. Come on.
They were not in the first 4.
No. So I mean, they've made it in the tournament by 15. I mean, ranked 15, but they still made it in comfortably. So I don't know. For me, I'm not necessarily head over heels. But I mean, listen, a good fairy tale story is definitely fun to pay attention to. But that's that.
I mean, I'm definitely glad somebody's picking them in the tournament.
Right. Well, you have. I mean, you have to. You got to go for a fairy tale favorite here. I'd say fairy tale favorite. The Reds were out of action yesterday. Reds are back in action today, facing the San Francisco Giants. Anyone who's following baseball around the world. Also, we have Hunter Green on the mound for the Reds, taking on Alex Wood. First pitch at 4:05 p.m. As spring training happens. Yeah, okay over there, Trey?
Yeah, I'm bringing up my CBS Sports app.
You're hilarious. You know that, right?
How?
What are you trying to do? Find other sports in the CBS, right?
I'm just looking at just today's game and all that.
Look at highlights.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw a kind of what the hell? When your phone doesn't want to work with you in this morning.
Oh, you're done. Your team plays today.
Oh my goodness. All right. I'm just waiting, buying time here. I mean, yeah, the Dodgers do play today. All right. Trey's armchair is like over here trying to what the hell are they doing sitting here in silence? He's also putting here's something else even wilder that hasn't been mentioned. St. Peter's is the first team for the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference to ever reach the Sweet 16, much less in the Elite 8. That is actually a very big accomplishment there. Yeah, I mean, with how many conferences there is, you'd be surprised how many teams are in the how many teams have been how many conferences that has not represented. We're truly seeing something new in NCAA tournament this year.
I'm curious to know what team Armchair Booking's rooting for.
I have an idea. I think he wants North Carolina and Duke to face each other. And then I think he wants
I'm asking, out of the last 8, is there one team that he's rooting for to be in the finals? Or is he just in general watching them all and rooting for them all?
North Carolina.
Yes.
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, my team's out of it, so I'm just trying to enjoy whatever NCAA tournament there is left. I mean, but we're busy. We are busy up here after the show. We'll explain more into that coming up here in just a little bit. We still got buy or sell, a new game I have going up for you.
Yep.
I'm going to make it light for you today, but I think you're going to enjoy this. Plus, we're talking some SmackDown talk. See if I can pull up that same article much more here on the Jay and Trey podcast.
I want to be daring, baby, dance the night away. I let my hair down if I want. Don't you just get tired chasing fame and being pretty all the time? Doesn't sound like fun. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. Let me show you what a good time looks like. To be silly, baby, dance the night away. I'll kick my shoes off if I want. Let yourself be free and maybe you will find that there is more to life than being pretty. Honey, let's just face it. Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes off, you don't have to hide it. Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes off, don't hide it. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better, I dare you to be wilder. Build you up, you break me down, tear everything apart. I give you all I can, but then you go and break my heart. But this ain't true love, boo. But this ain't true love, this ain't me right here, so I'm gonna leave you. Can be with someone who doesn't care.
All right. I like that for you setting. Tell me something better that I could do. I mean, I don't really have like an outside. All you're seeing is some weird trees outside. Like, I don't have a nice view of people really even, like to like look off of. So,
I do know one thing you could do.
What?
Take that Rams jersey down, replace it with Bengals.
I am thinking about. I am complexing on doing that. I'm probably thinking about doing that probably at around the season time. But I mean, I'm still honoring that the fact that that the Rams won the Super Bowl.
Now, what if I got you? Let you borrow my personal football jersey to put back there. Now, when I play flag football, I have a jersey.
Why don't you put it behind your wall? We got to get you like a nice big like cardboard stand up. that can fit behind you. You know what I'm saying? That you could put a jersey on or slap a poster on or something like that. That's what I'm thinking of. No, before we went to break, I had a little. Listen, we're busy this week, and this is why we're doing a show at 10 a.m. because on a Saturday, out of all days, while people are watching cartoons, Tom and Jerry or Bugs Bunny, or they're sleeping in or eating pancakes, we're on this show because we have a busy day today. I mean, excuse me, sorry. Now, before I'll always get in the panic mode of the day of that I have something to do. I just, you get notifications. Something that came across my Facebook page, or our Facebook page, was the Disney on Ice that I'm taking my girls. I'm taking them to the 3:00 event on Disney on Ice, and I just got the notification that hey, at 11:00 in the morning that the event starts, because they got different performances throughout the day. I think they got like a noon and then a 3:00 and a 6:00 or something like that. But I mean, it's how do I put it? I got the notification. I'm like, oh crap, let me just go make sure I have the tickets pulled up, ready to go, get them done a couple hours ago. There was one time where I bought some movie tickets for me and my girls, and I ended up getting them that on a Friday. I was supposed to purchase them for Saturday. I ended up getting them on that for the Friday instead, clumsy me. And I'm like, oh crap, I went into work for all that. Okay, don't rub it in armchair booking. Yeah, but you know what? You guys have the most tough division in the AFC right now. I mean, you're gonna have to put up with Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert. Yeah, there you go. I got that back at him. But I mean, so I had to make sure. I was like, all right, I got my tickets, because it says 11:00, and I'm like, oh crap, what time did I buy the tickets for? What time? What show? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I bought the 12:00 show. I'm like, oh crap, it's like 10:48, and I ain't making it. But yeah, so I just confirmed it. I'm like, all right, now you got to find your tickets on your email and all that stuff. And it takes a second to do that. So I was pre-distracted because I had that pop it up on my screen. And that happens. You have NWF tonight. That's why we can't do the nighttime show. So it's not, we couldn't do 1 to 3. We couldn't do 10 to midnight because you're going to be exhausted going to NWF. Is there anything going on for NWF though tonight that we could be looking forward to? I think Steve messaged me yesterday. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it to Covington tonight because he has family in town, and he's just going to go take care of that, which rightfully do so. But
I do know Ella is defending her title against Breezy.
Okay.
We have a triple threat tag team championship match. For the championships, I know it's Joshua and
Andrew Reed,
and I don't even know who the heck the other people are. It's a Star Rider and Lotus, and I do not know the names of the other people. I have described to you the last time I went.
right? They're not the ones with the chains, are they? The ones in the red and black singlets.
Yes, red and black singlets. That's who it is.
Armchair, this is where we need your expertise.
Yes,
because we're clumsy.
If I can pull it up real quick. I do know that Nasty Russ and Rex are gonna be duking it out tonight.
He said the Strays.
Yes, the Strays.
Okay. See, this is why we need you on every episode because to fill in NWF talk. Just because, dude, I still wish that NWF had a poster or like a roster sheet that we could go off of. I really do. Like, sell that for like $1 a page of the entire roster for the show. Like, also, I'm a little. I don't know. I don't know what the orientation is, but how come? Why is there a reason why we don't see Riley Matthews on Saturday nights at NWF. It seems like whenever we don't go to an event, she's there. And then she's, whenever we're there, she's there, but she's not performing, she's not in ring.
Right.
Like, I know she's doing a lot of stuff with the women's, stuff. And I get that. I've never really seen her in ring compete unless you went, like, you have to go to Bone Crushers on Friday night.
Right. I know she will not be here to be there tonight also.
Right.
She's off where Sean Evans is having a match.
Do we dare talk about that other conversation that posted up on Facebook? Let's talk about that coming up after this quick promotional video. You guys can check out NWF Wrestling. Head on over to NWF.com for all the information, NWFWrestling.com for all the information, all the about tickets and events and what's going on. I know they have an event tonight in Covington at the sports complex. You guys could get your tickets at the door or go online and get your tickets online. Either way, there's okay, so I want to see if you know which stories that I'm kind of referring to. There was the latest story that came up last night that I know Courtney responded to, but it looks like Juice has turned the cheek from us.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Allergies. Yes, apparently he turned to the dark side. Meaning he turned heel.
You ever really thought that day would have actually happened, Trey?
Definitely not.
Out of all the heel characters and teams he joined, he decided to join MCE's side of the, dark side. But I guess my question is that, okay, so you got caught, he got caught with the Mr. J gimmick. Wouldn't it be more ideal to join, the Titans army and sacrifice himself to the Great King Titan after, he caught him red-handed?
You would think, but when you get a match like that, and they eventually turn babyface, so it really doesn't make sense.
Not according to their Facebook handles this past week.
Speaking of that situation, I wonder what Titan is going to be up to tonight. Because he will not have his buddy with him tonight.
Does he plan on being there?
I believe so.
Okay.
I wonder what shenanigans he's going to pull.
Shenanigans.
Also, I do know that Kimba is in action against DC. And one other thing before we start getting more into the MCE stuff is the veteran is supposed to be in action.
Ooh. That sounds exciting. The only reason why I say that is I just can't really control it. Sorry, I'm dealing with some microphone issues on my end.
I did watch something. One of the announcers said there's another title on the line, but I did not catch what match that is. So,
Okay. According to Armchair, Juice has turned heel in a different organization, Supreme Wrestling, out of Madison, Indiana. Listen, he turned heel. The fact he turned heel, I fan favorite. Turns heel. It doesn't matter what organization you go for. I'm. Listen. For me, I'm a big supporter. Whether you're a face, whether you're a heel, if you can move me or speak to me in a certain way, like that's one of the things I had trouble. I don't know, Steve, if you even if you watched or read any of the messages that you know, the great King Titan and I had, or and Sean Evans had, like there was pipe bombs being dropped left and right beyond means. Trey came to me. He was like, "Man, you need to go watch yourself because he's and it's not because listen, it's all fun and games. He likes they enjoy the heckling on the social media pages. And I let them have it for a moment back on Wednesday, and then it was interesting because on Thursday, I believe it was Thursday, right? Yeah, Anika sits there and posted something about her page and wanting the money back. And I was like, I even let her have a little bit of it. So one day I'm defending MCE, the next day I'm defending the great King Titan and Sean Evans in their own game. and I love it. I have a much respect for what they do to be able to carry it out of the ring on social media. I'm sorry, there's not, I have not yet seen any other competitor or any other NWF athlete that's been able to carry that much heckling and that much entertainment to the fans audience outside the ring. And when you could do that, you touch me in a certain way. Inside the ring, Juice has touched me a certain way, as a fan, as a NWF fan. Like I said, the first feud that I really gravitated going with back to you, Trey, going back to the November 27th episode, was King Titan and Juice, because they told such a wonderful story just in the ring. And for a first-time fan, not knowing who was who to cheer for, who to boo, they got the fans involved. And from there on out, I really just went on. Now, all right, let me say this. I want to correct everything. So if you guys are following, so it's more of, I didn't know this, but I guess Anika does wardrobes for wrestlers. At least, her out of her second life create. I don't know how much of it is legit. Maybe our Armchair could shed some light on it. But I read an article that I read a post that someone does special work to create certain wrestlers' equipment, and she needed some support on, she needed some support and fundings to help get the proper equipment to make some ring gear. So, I mean, if you guys have a few bucks, let's share it let's share away. Because, I mean, I think that's awesome. Did you not see that?
Did I not see what?
Did you not see that? The post? So, all right. So, I mean, I really like to, you're friends with her on Facebook.
I know. Normally they come up.
Okay. So here's the post. Here's the actual post that I'm actually in support of. For those who don't know, I make my own wrestling gear, but right now I'm limited on what I can do because of my tools. I'm saving to get up a Singer Pro finisher so I can make some awesome stuff much faster. But a good machine costs about $300. Yeah, she says Singer. I thought, okay. I just want to make sure I got the name right. Okay. If you can please consider donating a few bucks to help me out, I promise you won't be disappointed. Right now, I have plans to make MJF gear, Jade Cargill gear, Ric Flair gear, and much more. So, Trey, maybe you want to encourage that. Let's get her to that let's get her to that 300 and more. How about that? Come on. Let's spread the word around. Let's get more donations to it. But I love the field of just heckling these especially MCE. Anika came out, I want to say, where was the post? There's a couple. Okay, there we go. World domination was hard enough before getting robbed. I won't let the great King Titan and Sean Evans set me back from my rise to the top. Help a girl out. Fund Anika's plans for world domination today. Have you donated, Trey? That's what I want to know.
I have donated Monopoly money.
You won't donate real money. You're being petty. You're being cheap.
She could get real money by getting the bag back that Titan had.
Apparently he's already spent it on video games. PlayStation 5s that aren't even worth anything now. Anyways, you guys can follow that story on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page, follow those stories and much more.
I also, before we move on and go to break, I also want to announce that Noah Gabriel will be live on April 6th. And make sure you tune in.
I know. I was actually, it was funny because I talked to you about that. I asked you, I was like, so we've kind of been soft the last couple of weeks on guests. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, yeah, by the way, I got Noah Gabriel joining us at the beginning of the month. So April 6th, look out for that. We got Noah Gabriel. I need to tune in. I need to check up with Steve to kind of talk to him because I know he's had Noah on a few times. Such a great interviewer. There's so many questions I want to ask him. But all right, let's play Buy or Sell coming up here next here on the Jay and Trey podcast.
I'm floating around 10 feet
the spring liberates me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy, I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your treasure's seminal.
We don't have any guests on our show today, but if we did, all guests on our show is coming to you thanks to StreamYard. Create your video, podcast, YouTube videos, virtual business meetings, or interviews through StreamYard, StreamYard.com. Try out their free version today. All right. It's kind of like just rolling on by here. Two tired guys trying to just make it through an episode of on a Saturday morning. Like I said, I got Disney on Ice coming up here at 3:00. So right after this show, I'm hopping over, getting down to the Heritage Bank Arena. Like I said, Trey has NWF. If you guys are headed out to NWF tonight, say hi to Trey. And then tomorrow, man, I gotta wake up at like 6:00 in the morning to get to the Duke Energy Center building because I have taken the girls to the Jurassic Quest. Now I've never been there before. I don't know what that's about, or
Is it expensive to get in?
It was about like $20. Hold on one second. I don't know. Let's do it. All right, hold on 1 second. You're listening. Give me a second. I'll hook you up. Hold on. Trey, provide us some entertainment for the next 2 minutes.
The next 2 minutes. Yeah. So actually tonight, as you heard, Justin is not going with me tonight. So it's gonna be me and Courtney, and I have my friend Scott and Twyla coming out. I brought them out the last time we were in Covington. They're big in the WWE. They don't watch AEW. And I'm telling them, I was like, you guys should really come out and check out NWF. Tickets are cheap. Buttload seats about $15, and you get to interact with the wrestlers. And they kept saying, "Oh yeah, we'll come out. Just let us know." We kept going and kept going to the events. They didn't show interest in going, and finally, I was able to get them out. And my friend Twyla was able to get up in that ring because they were doing I don't even know what they're called, but they were doing $5 pictures up in the ring.
Polaroid pictures.
Polaroids, yes. And she was really terrified of the height difference from like being down on the ground and being in the ring.
Right.
But after that, she was really happy with what happened with the matches that went on. And she's very excited for Ella's title defense tonight. So I'm actually happy that they're coming out and hanging out with me tonight. And my friend Scott, he really likes Riley, and so he's gonna be disappointed that she's not there tonight. So, and I'm excited to see if Swinger gets involved with the Rex and Nasty Russ tonight. Only reason why I'm saying that is because I believe it was Ludlow, Nasty Russ, and Springer were battling out for the championship that Springer has. I don't know the name of it, but that's when Rex came out and interrupted. So hopefully Springer will make his presence known in that match tonight.
There we go. All right. Let's see if that works. if you want to see if that works now, I think that may be that may be better. What I just provided. The first one was a little out of date. Yeah, there we go. All right, we don't really have a guest on our show on talking about guests being on our show. We have ourselves a guest, so we're at last minute guest. So coming your way, thank you to the StreamYard Studios, who we'd like to welcome at this time, Steve from Armchair Booking. Good morning.
Hello.
You look
Can you hear me?
fantastic.
Thank you.
For all the you say you've been crazy at work and all that stuff, and you look wonderful. How are you doing? How are you doing this morning?
Doing all right. Give me 1 second. I gotta mute. There we go. I had both the live stream and this coming through there. All of a sudden I was starting to get really confused, and with all the work I've been doing lately, I've been going crazy. Yes, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, hey, thank you for coming on here and being a part of the show. It's been crazy the last couple of weeks leading up until WrestleMania. A lot of things are happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you just had an episode a couple of days ago, kind of giving us a recap. Can you, I guess, kind of explain what you're doing on Armchair Booking around this time of year, getting close to WrestleMania?
Well, next week, actually, Monday, actually, as I mentioned earlier in the chat, we're actually planning on doing an episode just kind of dedicated to Triple H, with him announcing his retirement from in-ring competition. And of course, he's still going to be backstage. And it is sad to see him leaving because, I mean, he's only been wrestling like twice a year to begin with. Right. But because of his health issues, and I haven't been able to watch the interview that Trey was alluding to earlier, and I haven't. Yeah, that's how much I've been working lately because I have not had time to do anything like that. But Dwalen's actually he's been keeping me up with it as best as he can because of course, he's been working too. But he's constantly sending me stuff, so that way I'm not totally out of the loop. But one of the things I read was I guess he has fluid on his heart, and yeah, that's definitely not something to mess around with. No. Because that can lead to, of course, congestive heart failure and things like that. I mean, and you never know, he may actually have like a family history of that. So
right.
He actually does.
Does okay.
He actually announces it in his interview, which I will send you that when we go on the break. But it's definitely a good interview to watch. He gets really emotional. He gets down deep in his condition and what his future is with WWE. So I'll definitely go check it out.
Okay, definitely. And I'm actually going to text Dwaylen right now. Let him know I'm on here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, anytime you want to stop by, just hesitate. Hey, send me a link and I'll send you the link and let you stop in. And listen, WrestleMania, there's been I don't like to I really don't like rumors because that's what they are. They're just rumors until they become a reality. And there's still supposed to be so many rumors set for WrestleMania, and I'm like, I'm not going to believe it until I see it. I don't want to waste a lot of the showtime talking about nonsense if they're not going to happen. One of the rumors happened was there was supposed to be a Ricochet Intercontinental Championship defense at WrestleMania. Instead of that, we're seeing him take on Angel Garza and Humberto next Friday night on SmackDown. I'm like, that kind of just ruins it all. Is there anything that you're anticipating that maybe is following through with one of the rumors that's been circling around the WWE the last couple weeks?
Well, we still haven't seen any concrete proof that Cody is returning. Because that's been the big rumor, is Cody Rhodes has now re-signed with WWE, even though they've taken each other to court a few times in the past few years. Just over the use of the name Cody Rhodes, which is really crazy. But besides that, some of the other rumors, nothing I can substantiate. I mean, because I can look at Dave Meltzer or some of the stuff he posts, and I've heard Cody's going to. Seth. I've also heard the Undertaker might try to do something with Seth Rollins. Like, no, the Undertaker's done. I mean, he's even said his own physical health issues. I mean, he's given his all to the sport. He's given everything that he possibly can, and and he's walking away, as the Undertaker. I mean, his legacy is not going to be tarnished whatsoever. And he's going into the Hall of Fame. And I think he's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to be one of these guys who keeps constantly coming back. I'm retired. No, I'm not. But besides that, I really haven't heard any other rumors besides that. If I had to give like a pre-show judgment, I don't think it's going to be a great card. And part of that is due to, well, Dwaylen texted me, well, actually late last night, and I was already asleep. But I texted you at like 8 o'clock and said, "Here's how pathetic I am. I'm going to bed right now because I was exhausted. I fell asleep. I woke up at like midnight and was up for about an hour and a half and went right back to sleep again until like 7:30 this morning. So I mean, yeah, I need to catch some sleep. But I woke up, there was a text from Dwaylen, and it was a link saying there's not going to be an intercontinental title match or a U.S. title match.
Really? Yeah, and that's frustrating to me because they've been building up Damian Priest and Finn Balor as maybe the Demon versus, Damian Priest for Mania. Like that would have been a great match for me to watch at Mania. The fact we're not going to see that is very disappointing.
Right. And, but thank God, we got Johnny Knoxville, we got Logan Paul,
We are saved.
Yeah. I mean, they thinned the roster up so much in the past couple of years. They cut enough people off their roster to actually, they could form another company and still have people left over.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they're kind of, you reap what you sow, because I mean, they call the people, because they said it was budget cuts, but at the same time, of course, they're spending other money. And, mine and Dwaylen's opinion about the way they're pushing Brock Lesnar. I mean, some people absolutely love it. We think in the long run, it's going to end up hurting them. Even though his new character, people are actually liking.
Oh, I enjoy it.
Yeah, the cowboy Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, so it is different. It's not the meathead that he was kind of before.
So can I ask you this a question though? Because I kind of feel like we've seen this happen before in WWE about 20 years ago when guys like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair were still around in ring competing and being used as these big products. The only difference, and we're seeing you saw guys come and go in the WWE so often. The only difference is that social media, and these guys didn't have a voice on social media when, it wasn't reported when a guy like Chris Masters or Carlito left the WWE. It was probably hidden on the WWE webpage, hidden somewhere down below. Right. Now we're seeing everything be front and center. We're seeing articles. We're seeing them, these actual talented superstars actually come forth on social media saying, hey, I was let go because of this reason. We didn't see that 20 years ago. So are we really seeing something, new in WWE? Or are we just seeing a more socialized version of what we saw 20 years ago? Because guys like I said, guys like Hulk Hogan, guys like Ric Flair, we're still around in the ring doing business when they could have been almost, hey, let's take a back seat kind of, like what Brock Lesnar is doing right now. I kind of feel like this kind of almost the same image 20 years ago.
Well, I know 20 years ago, the WWE, they were really big about if you're part of their company, we tell you what to say. But then, of course, with the big brouhaha that happened a couple years ago with Zelina Vega, because she started becoming very outspoken and she was actually released, for a little bit. Then she came back right as her husband was released, which is just a weird.
And she's still being used the same way as she was prior to that.
But I think now with the WWE, they're making their own announcements. I think part of that is kind of almost like a preemptive strike in a way, almost like damage control. They're going to go ahead and say it first before the person actually comes out and says, well, they let me go. And, and in some cases, I mean, you like William Regal. I mean, he has been very classy. He has not said one bad word about the WWE. And he's actually, I don't know if you listen to Jericho's podcast, but Regal actually goes into all his health issues. But, he, and I agree with this. You don't bash your former employer, especially when you're looking for employment. You don't publicly bash them. You want to tell your friends, the company work, they did it, but you don't publicly bash them. Whereas some people, because like Ryback, I don't know if you saw Ryback's comments about Triple H.
Right.
Yeah, he gave him kind of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like,
you haven't seen him since.
Right. I mean, like yesterday, he gave him like a backhanded compliment.
Well, he's been doing that on and off throughout ever since he's been released, and you really haven't seen him, sign with any other company at all.
No, because he's become kind of a pain to deal with.
Yeah.
And not that other ones haven't been, but Ryback's stock isn't as great as somebody like a CM Punk, for example. Because CM Punk, I mean, he's been known, which CM Punk you're going to get, the one that gets on great, or the one that sometimes if he doesn't get his way, he may actually kind of throw over tantrum. Now I think in the 7 years he was gone, he may have actually, kind of gotten past all that.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't want the disgruntled employee. Whereas Ryback was hurting people in the ring, and he was, and obviously not intentionally, but the fact that he just wasn't safe in the ring, and then he's going to come out and what did he say, Trey? He said that Triple H was he said Triple H was one of his favorites growing up, but then when I actually met him and wrestled with him, it was a big disappointment or something like
yes.
that. I mean, here it is.
Yeah.
He said ended up being biggest disappointment, but wishes him well. And so it's like the guy just he said, you ended up being the biggest disappointment for me personally, but from loving you growing up, but I wish you well in retirement and future good health. It's like, you slam him and then you try to compliment. I mean, the first thing you want to hear is that slam.
Right.
And so I mean, with social media now, I mean, being like what it is from like 20 years ago, because 20 years ago there was no social media.
No.
YouTube wasn't even a thing back then.
Mm-mm.
YouTube didn't start for another couple of years. So but now all the social media platforms have given the wrestlers a voice that, especially once they leave the WWE, they can't be controlled as far as what they say. They can say, you know what, I can say what I want on here, and you can't stop me. So now, and the reason why they released me is because that's what WWE is. And I said, we wish, and it's always the future endeavors.
Right.
They put out the big message, all these people have been future endeavored because of budget cuts. And so that way they get it out first before Dave Meltzer reports it, for one.
Right.
Dave Meltzer or some of the other ones. But man, I don't know if that was really kind of the answer you might have been looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there's also growing product out there. I mean, back 20 years ago, there was maybe just Impact Wrestling that was on TV. Now you got Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, New Japan, AEW. There's also other voices that can be heard through other streaming services. So WWE isn't the only major corporation around.
Right. And I think Ring of Honor were starting to, just starting, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think they had really gotten a platform yet. I had to look into history, and Dwaylen would know better than I would about that one. But of course, Impact was a thing. There was also some other ones that had tried to start, but then sputtered out. Like
Lucha Underground was a good one. Lucha Underground.
Yep, Lucha, and really Lucha are still there. I mean, but they're just down in Mexico. I mean, where they're thriving.
The only difference was it was unique because they didn't do a whole year round. They did seasons.
Right.
So it was like almost like a reality show type sense in the ring.
Yeah, and they may have got a sense of that from their audience.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, because wrestling, because there is, and like you said, there is no season now. Some people say they've kind of evolved a little bit to say, okay, this year is the season. That may come from the Peacock Network because they call everything seasons instead of years, whereas wrestling, we're used to years.
Right.
And if you don't know what year of WrestleMania took place, then you're having to look and say, okay, what year was this one? When you're looking for it on the network. But it may help, keep the people's attention span.
Yeah.
They can say, okay, this is what's going on from here to here, whereas all year long, you're like, okay, what's going on now? And you have really, if you've not watched in a while, you have no idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have Raw, NXT on Tuesday, and then you got Dynamite, Impact, and New Japan on Thursday, and then you got SmackDown and Rampage on Friday, plus whatever pay-per-views or premium lives are on over the weekend. I mean, that's a lot of wrestling to take in just in 1 week, especially if you're trying to, you're a wrestling fan like us, and we're trying to cover as much as possible. Mm-hmm. It could be a little bit stressful. Like, I don't know if you can agree or disagree, but when I try to say, hey, you're a new fan, I do not recommend you watching Raw or SmackDown. I don't recommend you watching AEW as a brand new fan. If you're the first time getting into wrestling, watch Impact, watch NWF, because it's not confusing or it's not lacklusting like WWE could be.
Right, and because the NWF is, of course, I mean, they are indie, but Roger does a very good job of teaching them, look, every time they go in the ring, they're going to have somebody in the audience who's going to be new, who does not know what's going on with the characters. And you can tell what's going on, from what they're doing in the ring. Now, some of the overarching storylines, like the whole, the MCE thing, but apparently Titans stole their money the other night. So I'm guessing Titans making a face turn. So
I mean,
don't
my
know.
conversation I had on with them on Wednesday, it was still pretty much a heel. I mean,
Yeah. So speaking of Titan, I need to get him on the show because we were talking, but then I had to tell Dwaylen when my work hours all of a sudden ramped up, and I knew it was coming. We didn't realize it was going to ramp up as much as what it did. I was like, yeah, let's not schedule any interviews until this is over with, because we don't want to schedule something and then have to back out, because that looks bad on us.
This is when I want Titan on again, because it's like this is a whole new Titan that we're seeing take apart, because last time we talked with him was at the end of last year, and it was him in the feud with Juice. Now he's moving on, and I want to see what his plans are. And what I love about people like MCE and the Great King Titan and even Sean Evans is that they know how to entertain you, not just in the ring, but outside the ring. They know it's fun and games. They're not taking it personally. They love the heckling, and they do such a great job at it. I mean, for hands down, that's what it gravitates me to NWF more than anything else.
Get Sinclair Octavius Bentley on your show.
We're working on it. The schedule is really busy.
He also has a very busy schedule. But he is an absolutely fantastic interview. Extremely knowledgeable about what goes on. And I mean, he just tells us straight, but he'll also, he'll definitely keep you entertained, and he's been, if Dwayne and I had to say who are our favorite interviews, I mean, he's definitely up there. If he's not number one, he's at least in the top three. But anyway, back to the original thing about telling the story in the ring with WWE. If you were to go to a live event and you've not watched the shows, you might not know what's going on. Cause I've actually heard people, like behind me explaining to their friends, okay, this is what's going on here. This is what's going on here. This is what's going on here, because, they don't necessarily tell it, even when they have these 20-minute long promos at the beginning of Raw, which they kind of went away from that a couple shows, which I was glad to see. Then they went right back to it. It's like wrestling. The middle W stands for wrestling. Right. Put the more emphasis on wrestling rather than the entertainment. You're trying to make a movie aspect of it all. But AEW, that was a little faster paced, I think, because they don't have the 20. So they do have more focus on the action, and they have a lot of stories going on. So that one may be a little much, but at the same time, if you're there, if you're able to explain it to them, to like a first time watcher, maybe good. Impact. I haven't really been able to watch them as much, but I do remember every time I have been able to watch them, though, it felt more old school. So you are able to keep up. Ring of Honor was the same way. Now I don't know what's going to, or is the show coming back?
So they're the Super Card of Honor is supposed to be happening next Friday, and that's supposed to be the start of the return of Ring of Honor. I don't know the details about how they're supposed to approach it, but they are supposed to bring it back. And some of the overstacked talent that AEW has is possibly, there's been talks about them unstacking their entire roster, the guys they aren't not using on AEW, bringing over to Ring of Honor to kind of help fill that product. You got the Briscoes and FTR happening that day. I think Jay White's supposed to be competing at Super Card of Honor as well, from my understanding. So, I mean, it's a Friday night, though. So the same night that The Undertaker gets inducted to the Hall of Fame, I don't quite know how many people are going to be into Ring of Honor compared to The Undertaker. That's going to be a whole extravaganza next Friday night. I do want to, listen, for me, it's like, I remember you used to be able to tell the story in a match. And that's what, for me, WWE has stirred away from. For example, what was the story being told inside the match between AJ Styles and Seth Rollins on Monday? The only thing was the fact that Seth Rollins needed a WrestleMania opponent, but this has already been set in stone that Edge and AJ Styles is going in, at WrestleMania. There has been a brutal attack. Why you take that? Why even consider taking that away from AJ Styles?
Right.
I mean, there's just no storytelling. For example, you take a look at Triple H and The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, those 4-year run, that was a, era telling story, for those 4 years.
Sorry, yeah, Dwaylen actually texted me right when you asked that. He said, "Yay!" Because I told him on Jay and Trey right now. so he's very happy. So I'm sorry. Repeat the last question. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I was just kind of explaining that the lack of story inside the ring that WWE gives you, and I referred back to AJ Styles and Seth Rollins match. I mean, there was really no story that they really told other than just a fight. I mean,
and this is one of the things that Dwaylen and I have been harping on for a while, even before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Was anytime you have a match, you want to get people interested in it, you have to have a legitimate reason for the match. Don't just say, okay, these two guys are fighting just because they don't have opponents. No, the best reason for a match is probably for a title.
Mm-hmm.
That boom, you have the title, kind of like this one.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, like that, Trey. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep.
I like that one. I need to get myself one of those.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So, but you have to have, that's the perfect reason for it. Another one, hey, they were tag team partners and then they split up for whatever reason. Boom. Now I want revenge on my former partner. You're going to pay for betraying me.
Even a good example, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, they had a shared blood in the ring against each other. Now they're working on building their relationship inside the ring over these past few years, weeks. I'm sorry, but over the past few weeks, they're sharing themselves, in the ring together. That's still a storytelling. No matter who opponents there are, they're trying to develop themselves as one team. Right,
and so if you already had the story built in, then people will want to watch it, unless they have no interest in the actual story. I mean, now you can't help that. I mean, that's just people's tastes. But just to throw somebody in the ring just because, well, they need a match, that to me, it's like, unless you think for some reason, okay, we need to have a match. Okay, one person's the number one contender for a title. The other person wants to be the number one contender. That still is a reason for a match, because the title, it may be like the indirect reason, but the title is still the reason for the match, because they say, okay, if this person wins, they're going to be the number one contender. Even if they say, okay, they're having a grudge match, which used to see that all the time. So-and-so's having a grudge match. Well, there's nothing different about the match except for they slapped the word grudge on it. Now it makes it more interesting.
Right. Because you don't even see that today.
Right. Because these two people, they've been fighting. So this is a grudge match. These people are fighting because they just hate each other.
I mean, we did see that a little bit, this last couple weeks with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods returning to in-ring on SmackDown last night because of what happened to Big E a couple weeks ago. And I understand that's a freak accident. Yeah. That wasn't intentional, at least from, what we could tell, which I'm sure, it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, no, absolutely
but
not.
At the same time, I mean, that they're using that storyline, which is great. And trying to tell, okay, now there's more heat and gripe because you took out, Big E.
Yeah. And I mean, that right there, not that we'd ever want anything bad to happen to any of the wrestlers, especially somebody like Big E. Because, I mean, were you watching when it happened?
I didn't. I was at work, but I watched afterwards, and Trey did.
Yeah, Trey, because I'm pretty sure you had the same reaction I did of like, oh, he just came down on his head. That doesn't look good. And then you find out later on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was just nasty, and it's like, then you find out later on that they took Big E away in on a stretcher. Right. They didn't show that on TV, but and they got him to the hospital, and then it turns out, he's actually got a couple of cracked vertebrae, and what's his name, Ridge Holland, actually went to the hospital to make sure he was okay, and because that's the right thing to do.
Oh yeah,
but at the same time, I mean, you can't plan for something like that. But this is an instant storyline that just fell right in their lap, and they are actually, going with it. It's like, it makes sense.
Can I ask you a question on relations to that? Do you feel that I feel, maybe you could disagree with me or agree, I feel like they don't spend much time in the ring trying to, I don't know how much time they really spend in the ring to try to better their techniques. I feel like there's a lot of matches that have been sloppy just because they're kind of going through the motions. And, there's always something new to learn in the ring, especially when you face different opponents all the time. I mean, is that was that because of lack of experience? Because when you're planning to pick up a big guy like Big E, because he's not
No,
toothpick,
he's not a lightweight.
you're not gonna be able to belly him over your head. Is that more of a technique issue? Maybe maybe a suplex side to side type thing where it's more protection to that. I mean,
I know that if you're doing the belly to belly suplex, it looks more impressive if you do flip them over your head like that. Because Big E, I mean, he himself does it.
Right.
And Lesnar, he does it. Same thing. But you have to make sure that you can actually do that with your opponent. And Rich Holland's not a small guy either. I mean, you look at him, he's pretty cut. I just don't think he was ready for somebody who's close to 300 pounds of just solid muscle like Big E is.
Yeah.
And so when he did it, he could not get him rotated enough. And Big E, of course, I mean, he may have been not have been able to rotate all the way either.
Right.
And he did tuck his head. They are taught. And if you watch the interview we did with Buff Bagwell, he actually talks about that when he had his own neck injury.
Yeah.
He said, you tuck your head because you can go a long way this way. You can't go a long way the other way.
Right.
So Big E tucked his head. If he hadn't have done that, he might have been paralyzed. So as far as the technique, I think they are showing them, hey, do it because it looks more impressive. Now they might have to relook that, and they may have to say, okay, let's think about this. And Rich Holland, he may have actually felt confident that he could do it, and Big E probably felt confident that Rich Holland could do it to him.
Right.
And then when it came time, all of a sudden.
Right, you're a few minutes into the match. I mean, a little bit drained, compared.
Exactly.
I get it. I just, that's just one example. I do see other ways where I kind of feel like the performers in the ring, they just kind of look sometimes out of place.
Right. And we've got, you're talking about going through the motions. A lot of times we've noticed that a lot of the WWE matches have started to become very cookie cutter again, because they all have that. They all have the spot where, especially in tag team matches, where somehow everybody's clustered up outside the ring in the same spot by the entrance ramp, and then somebody else either jumps over the top rope or jumps off the top rope. Right. From the corner, and they all just happen to be there to catch them.
Right.
That same spot. There's the Tope Suicida, the suicide dive, whatever you want to call it, where they go through the ropes. I'm not a fan of that move anyway, unless it's done correctly. Oh my God, what?
I'm only a fan of a smaller guys like Ricochet, guys like Rey Mysterio, who can actually fit through the ropes. Otherwise, don't even bother with me.
Right. What's got AEW, and we talk about him all the time, and somehow I'm drawing a blank because I'm getting old. The guy with half his face painted.
Darby Allin, yes.
His going through there. Even the way Dwayla puts it, he said he's like a missile.
Yeah,
I mean, he just goes, and his looks impressive. But not everybody can do that move.
No.
And so the WWE, I think that's happening because that's how they're training them, and because they kind of said they don't want people coming from other organizations. Now I think they've kind of backed off on that a little bit. And they, without actually saying it, because you do have people who are coming back like Cody.
Yeah.
But if they're training everybody the same way, you're going to end up a lot of them doing the same moves in the same matches. And I think that's also something that's kind of hurting them.
I think once WWE can accept that there's more than one way to wrestle, right? And they can finally acknowledge, hey, that we're one big team here. At the end of the day, we just want everyone, every product, every brand needs just to put on the best product they could possibly do. So once they can accept that and work together, and I mean, just you see like AEW working together with Impact and Ring of Honor. Once you see that, then I think every show is going to be amazing to watch. I think they can finally make those changes. And
you never hear somebody coming from the other companies. From like, well, AEW is still fairly new in the game, and so they've actually had more people coming into the company than what they've had leaving the company. I mean, you can almost count the number of people on one hand that they've had leaving the company. Right. But they have never had anybody say, well, they want me to wrestle the AEW way, or they want me to wrestle the Impact way. But you hear them all the time, well, the WWE wants me to learn their way. What does that mean, their way? Because why did you bring them in if you're trying to change? You brought them in based on what you've seen. You shouldn't be bringing them in based on what you want them to do. So, I mean, it's like like a company hiring somebody. You're based on what's on the resume.
The
Not
only thing I could think of is that, if you go work for a company like FedEx, I'm just use them as an example.
Yeah.
FedEx has a certain way to sort their mail through, right? They have a certain way to go deliver the packages.
Right.
Well, USPS has a completely separate way, maybe some similar ways, but mostly separate. They maybe, instead of using a big machine, maybe they got to hand sort everything. I mean, same thing to maybe a DHL, maybe they got to, instead of maybe instead of mixing boxes and bags together, they mix, they got to keep all that stuff separate. Don't quite know to the extent, but you take a look at WWE as a corporate, as a global corporate, right? They may, the WWE way, and I'm not trying to judge them inside the ring. I'm sure that there's probably changes they want to do, but it's like, okay, well, this is how we televise our show. It has to be around this method.
right.
And then AEW is completely different. They're more maybe laid back of just go out there and just cut a promo. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to pay attention to a certain camera, stuff like that.
Right. And Jeff Hardy, I don't know if you've actually heard some of the interviews they've had with him talking about the difference between WWE and AEW. They said when he first got to AEW, he's like asking people, okay, what do the writers want us to do? And they had to tell him, dude, we don't have writers here.
Right.
You're given a lot more carte blanche to do what you want. And whereas WWE, they have writers scripting everything almost down to the moves they're supposed to make. And whereas in AEW, they're like, here's a couple bullet points we do need you to hit, but besides that, go. You tell us the story. And and even the writers they have in WWE, a lot of them apparently are not wrestlers. They've never been associated with the wrestling business until they came there. So they are story writers like they're doing out of Hollywood, which is what Vince wanted. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you may be getting your largest quarterly earnings ever every quarter, but it's not because of the product in the ring. It's because you're cutting your payroll. Well, now they're starting to suffer because of it.
Right. Well, look at Nick Khan, the CEO of WWE. He's the one who brought the $1 billion agreement with Peacock. I mean, he's the one who also helped negotiate the Saudi Arabia deal that they had. I mean, they're bringing money elsewhere, but it's not, they're not necessarily bringing money from the tickets to the ring. I mean, look at WrestleMania, for example. 2 nights, they're not even close to where they want to be sold out at what, 90 or 100,000 a night. And a lot of those seats are buy one, get one free. So it's 2 shows for the price of 1.
Well, I mean, in WrestleMania, a lot of that actually depends on people traveling.
Yeah.
And because people will travel for wrestling, well, at least they used to. And I know part of it may still be kind of COVID residue, but you got to give them something worth traveling for. I mean, because right now, you look at the matches that are on the card.
Right.
Like I said, Logan Paul. I'm not going to go all the way down to Dallas from Cincinnati to watch Logan Paul. I even have family in that area, and I'm still not going to go down there.
Right.
I'm not going to go down there to watch Johnny Knoxville. I'm not going to go down there to watch what's his name, Pat McAfee. And I like Pat McAfee.
Right. Yeah.
I do like, he's a legitimate athlete, and he was a punter, but he is a legitimate athlete.
I mean, he's wrestled in the War Games, right? With Adam Cole. And
so, I mean, and he actually has respect for the sport, but him against Austin Theory, and I do have a lot of respect for Austin Theory after the Elimination Chamber. I'm like, okay, like we said, Brock Lesnar may have went over, Austin Theory got over, because, I mean, a lot of people got more respect for him after that. But that match is not going to make me want to go down there. Seeing Roman and Brock for the 3rd time at a WrestleMania, it may be a little more intriguing than before because they've switched roles. But there's nothing.
Let's face it now, because I've been calling for it. The way that they've been building up SmackDown, this feud, it needs to be in a Hell in a Cell. There's only one stipulation match, and that's because of of Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. Where's your Hell in a Cell? It's a picture perfect scenario for this chapter, this book, right? Where, Brock Lesnar gets both Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns, no outside interference, inside a cage where he can do whatever he wants. They brought out weapons. They're destroying vehicles, which is great to see, but we're just seeing, once again, a normal match. I mean, same thing goes to Charlotte and Ronda. That should be a submission match, to be honest. I mean,
Yes.
both of them have really good
Yes,
submissions.
absolutely.
Nothing more. I mean, someone's going to tap out. Although I already said Charlotte tapped out at Madison Square Garden already. I mean, but someone has to tap out, and just cut it. It makes it more entertaining to know that there's some sort of stipulation to that match to get you involvement. Let me ask you this: you talk about the encouragement or the confidence to go down to WrestleMania. We talked about this on our show the last couple of weeks. If you would have announced that Stone Cold was 100% guaranteed to be in a wrestling match against Kevin Owens at Mania, would that have changed, people wanting to go down there, knowing that you could see Stone Cold for the one last time in, after 19 years?
I think it's possible because, I mean, especially since you have people who are fans of the Attitude Era, and they like, and so of course that's where they know Stone Cold from. And I mean, when he had to medically retire because I mean his neck is shot because of of course that goes back to the 1997 SummerSlam.
Right.
His knees are shot just from the years that he spent in the ring. And so when he left, because his doctors were like, dude, you can't do it. So, and they have not actually said he's going to have a wrestling match, but I think him appearing might be enough. And that maybe they're kind of hot shotting it. They're
like,
the
thing is that his appearance is, listen, he's appeared before at WrestleMania. It's nothing new.
Right.
He's done Stone Cold Stunners all the time on regular shows. It's nothing new. But I think for fans to get over that point, if he was certain, because there's been reports of him having a ring, being in great cardio position, but is he getting all in that shape and field of getting in great shape just for what, a stunner? I mean, you think about, even if he goes 3 to 5 minutes in a bell-to-bell match, that for me, for a guy who never saw Stone Cold watch live, because it was kind of towards the time when I first started wrestling, watching wrestling, he was out of the business. This is when I would be like, listen, 19 years, I would show up to WrestleMania, just to watch him in a bell-to-bell match.
And I think you would actually have to have the right opponent also, because
Kevin Owens is a good opponent.
And I think Kevin Owens is a very good opponent, but I'm also thinking, okay, what does either man have to gain from this? Because Steve Austin, he's not going to continue wrestling.
No.
Because he has so many other things outside of wrestling. He has his own. Well, no, he didn't really do his audio podcast anymore. He hasn't done it in a while, but he still does the Broken Skull sessions. He has the other, that kind of reality show that he does. I mean, he has a lot of other and he spends a lot of time sitting down counting his money because he has a lot of it.
Right.
But Kevin Owens, I mean, he would have had something more to gain by beating Steve Austin 20 years ago. Now, okay, you just beat somebody who hasn't been in the ring in 19 years, and if you lose to
him, if he lost, I think it would still be just something to accomplish for him, because they don't technically have nothing else for him. And I mean, just to be able to go up to that caliber and get that experience with Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think is a win for Stone Cold, or not for Stone Cold. I'm sorry. For Kevin Owens.
Right. And I do think that this is a possibility. We'll look for the surprise mystery opponent, because they said they're going to have, the KO show, and that's why he's coming in there. But if they did come in there and just, like you said, he did all that just for a stunner,
right?
People would be disappointed. I would have a riot in my own living room if they did that, because I'm like, I just wasted, 10, minutes of my time for this.
Right.
But I think if they were to bring in somebody, Stone Cold say, look, I can't wrestle, or if they had Kevin Owens attack Steve Austin, that could actually be something. If he attacks him, and knowing that he's
okay, so then what about getting the gang back together? You talk about JBL, Booker T, even Shawn Michaels, guys that he's heckled over the last several months, getting them to all kind of even that score, that level playing field, to then end up, being a okay, I'm gonna stun. Stone Cold comes in a stunner and maybe does some little offensive moves.
I mean, that is a possibility. It wouldn't be the first time they've done that, because I think it was when the last time they were in New Orleans. That was when they had The Rock win over Eric Rowan in 8 seconds.
Right.
But of course The Rock was in there, Stone Cold was in there, Mick Foley was in there, and they had them all attack. and yeah, they were getting their moves in, and people were like nostalgic. We're going, oh, look at him, you know. And but the only other thing it did though was it killed the Wyatt family,
Right.
you know, because now it's like, well, they all just got massacred in there. But if they were all just ganging up on Kevin Owens, as long as he could still get some kind of offense in to where it's not going to completely kill his character, that'd be okay to me. But if they got him there and he's just taking everybody's moves from those guys who are all retired, they don't even do this every day, but they're still smacking him around, and he's supposed to be one of their biggest stars. I mean, I think ultimately it could also hurt the product, but they're bringing Stone Cold in for they're just trying to hot shot it just to get more people there to watch it. But what's it going to do down the road? You always have to think about then what? Right. You know, and also this may be a case of, once again, they cut their roster so thin, they're having to bring back Stone Cold for a possible match.
Have they really cut the roster so thin? Because there's still so many people that should be, like you just talked about, Finn Balor, Damian Priest should be on WrestleMania. Then yet again, they don't. Last question I have for you. You talked about at the beginning about the Undertaker and the Hall of Fame ceremony. I would really love to see the Undertaker come out on night one as the American Badass. Yeah. And then I would love to see him one last time in the Gong, Phenom suit, come out one last time in honor. Maybe, like I said, one last chokeslam, one last tombstone. Just no cost, just maybe, interrupt, hell, bring back, I wouldn't say bring back Elias, but bring just somebody, just Elias, needs to be in the ring.
Elias is still in the roster.
He is.
They were just saying they were going to redo his character, so that actually could be it too. But then again, I don't want to see Elias to come back just to get squashed again either, though.
But you know what I'm trying to say, though. Night one, American Badass, bring down with the American flag, ride down on the motorcycle around the ring, do what you got to do, do what you do best. And then night two, see the infinite Phenom, the Undertaker, just come down to the ring, maybe one last chokeslam, one last tombstone, just one move. That's it. And then that's call it a career type thing, For me, that's what I would love to see out of the Undertaker. That's how I see it. But I don't know if we're gonna get that.
Maybe not. I mean,
he's not he doesn't want to make the show around him anymore, obviously. Right. I mean, that's why he wanted to be inducted with other people instead of him, because it was confirmed that he was presented the idea that the Hall of Fame was going to be just about him. And he was like, no, I need some other people with me.
Exactly. Because, I mean, the Undertaker, rather Mark Calloway, will tell you, I mean, it's not all about him, because he'll say, look, I was not the only person in that ring. I always had to have, good dance partners, and he did. And he's always one of the first people to always give credit to someone else, to say, look, I didn't do this on my own. They were right there along with me. I wouldn't be at the level I am had it not been for them. Now, Vader definitely deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. He should have been in a long time ago. Sharmell,
Sharmell, I see, because of the feud the Undertaker had with Booker T. And not with Booker. Yeah, the Undertaker had with Booker T. Sharmell kind of helped made that King Booker when he won that King of the Ring. That was the only role I feel like she played in.
Oh, I know, and that's actually something that we're going to have. Well, we were talking about. Well, I don't know if it's going to happen now, because we'd rather do it before the Hall of Fame ceremony takes place rather than after. But if you look at the Hall of Fame, there's so many other people who are so deserving to go in that they have not put in, like a Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah, but you don't want nothing to overpower the Undertaker, because at the end of the night, the entire every eyes are going to be on. Everyone is going to be on the eyes of the Undertaker at the end of the day.
Oh, Annika just replied to us. Okay, so you saw it too. Okay, and yeah, you had me confused. I was like, I remember seeing that. No, I went on her real account, not her Annika account, her shoot account. All right, I'll have to scan that and get her something, because
I just saw that too. I was just going to let you know, but that was Trey, what we're talking about, I just messaged her, or we messaged her, hey, did she have a PayPal account to donate some money? I rather donate to her sewing machine than to the world domination.
Right. And I actually have money in my PayPal account, whereas Venmo has to come out of my bank.
Oh,
you
gosh.
know, but
Yeah.
I actually have, some in PayPal already, so I don't have to
Right.
worry about it, because car repairs are very expensive, especially when I have to get it done twice within 3 weeks. Yeah. Anyway, but that's another story.
Shad Gaspar being the warrior.
Yes, that is absolutely deserving. And if people don't know the story about that one, um, he drowned, a couple years ago, and it was I think it was riptides out in California,
Right. Yep.
and
He
it,
I
it
believe he
gra-
took his son out for surfing or boarding or something like that.
yeah, something. I
And
mean, yeah, he was spending time with his son, which he was all about family. And the riptides got him and his son. The lifeguard came out and got him, and he said, "Don't get me." He said, "Go get my son first. Don't worry about me."
Mhm.
He said, "Get my son." And then he got his son. They went back to get him, and unfortunately, they weren't able to, and he
Just too late.
perished.
Yeah.
But you always hear so many people just talking so great about him, and just that right there, is definitely a heroic act. He gave his life for his own son to live.
Yeah.
He sacrificed himself. And so that's absolutely worthy of that kind of recognition.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna be honest, didn't really come out as a honorary thing on my behalf, just because when it first hit me, I had to actually think about everything that had happened, when he first received it. But yeah, no, I think it's a really good honor thing to see them do that, and hopefully they actually have a nice, good moment for him as
Yeah.
well, because they haven't done it so yet.
Yep.
Honestly,
So,
it's been a long time coming.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, but I know you're running out actually kind of short on your time.
Yeah, no,
So,
wait, we're fine. Matter of fact, Trey was really tired. He was like, "Man, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to go through the show." So I really appreciate you stopping by. I feel like we have to do this more often, type thing, where we could get you in for a couple minutes at least to
yeah.
catch up.
I mean, I could possibly do it, during like the weekdays, but I think my work they may frown on that a little bit if I'm sitting there in my cubicle and all of a sudden, they ran out. But I mean, I will say this though, it would not be the first time I've been on somebody's podcast while I've been at work. But the last time I actually just went out to my car and they called
Right.
me. That was on the Bless Their Hearts podcast. Those same guys also do the True Crime Cast. They were just on Jericho's show. I don't know if
Oh wow.
yeah, those
Yeah.
guys. Because I've
I'll
actually
check them
become
out.
kind of friends. Yeah, I've actually become kind of friends with them, and so they actually had me on the Bless Their Hearts one back in August.
Okay.
And we're talking about sports curses. And
Yeah.
so you're a sports guy. So actually, that episode, I'll actually send you a link to it because
Yeah, please do.
you can check that one out. So, but yeah, absolutely, especially if we can schedule both me and Joel at the same time, because sometimes I always feel kind of naked if he's not there with me, because I mean we're definitely a team.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
and then go
I
ahead.
should say, you guys don't be strangers. Anytime you guys want to come on, just let us know. And definitely great to hear different interactions and different perspectives of professional wrestling on this case.
Yep. And Dwayne also texted me because I said I threw out the idea about him doing, of course, Monday Triple H and then Wednesday and Thursday episodes, because we could only do one this week. And he likes the idea, but he's going to make sure he doesn't have anything going on Wednesday, because
Well, I will tell you this: we will be on at least Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 a.m. to noon next week. We'll possibly be on Monday too. We'll see about that, but
okay.
we'll have a lot of opportunities. So even if you can't get your anything for your show, if you guys need to stop by also to get a few words in, feel free to hook us up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, well, hey, of course we know we always had the open invite for y'all, and we know that it kind of goes both ways. So yeah, anytime you want to come on, and just want to tell the audience, who's going to check this, especially after the fact, because I understand Saturday morning not everybody's awake yet.
Right.
Definitely go check out the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. You can find us on about any audio platform that you can think of. If you don't see us, let us know. We'll get ourselves added. Yes, I am aware of the issue with iHeartRadio. My hands are
Just give up. Just give up on
I'm giving up on.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah, I will say iHeartRadio, you suck when it comes to podcasts, because you just stopped uploading us.
I told you that back in September, I believe. I feel like.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, and we tried and it just stopped. And I'm like, I even contacted them. Hey, this is going on. Oh man, you're not being able to upload. Well, no crap. That's why I contacted you. Your tech support. But you can, if you're watching us, you can find us on YouTube as well. And you can find us on TikTok at Armchair Booking. Yes, I know I haven't done a lot with TikTok, but but I'm
It's all
So get
good.
with it,
just trying to learn
Steve.
it. Yeah, and I know Trey's been trying to help us out. We do appreciate that, bud. So
Yeah, dude. Listen, I appreciate the time for you coming on today. Definitely helped Trey out here, and I'm looking forward to doing it again very soon.
Yep. And sorry, Trey, I won't be there tonight. I was planning on it, but things happen. So
Also, don't forget to watch that Triple H interview, which I sent it to both of you
Last thing,
already.
did you watch the Have you been watching Evil?
no, I haven't.
The new heel series on Peacock. It's on the WWE version. It's basically
Okay.
stories of wrestlers, like for example,
Oh.
Hulk Hogan turning heel,
Yeah.
and that whole process. It's about 40-minute documentaries. We just started that earlier this week, and so we're gonna be they just released all 8 episodes on Peacock, and that's available now.
Okay, I'll definitely
And
have to
I'm
check that
telling
out.
you, right now, I watched The Miz last night and it was good.
It was awesome. It makes you it shows you another appreciation for the Miz too.
Yeah, I like the
Mhm.
Miz. So I mean, I think I'm kind of in the minority on that one, but I actually do like it. I do appreciate the Miz what he does. So, but all right, well,
All right. Well, hey,
thank you,
thank you
gentlemen.
for coming on, and we'll catch up with you at a later date.
Oh, absolutely, man. All right, we'll see you.
Take care.
It was good seeing you.
You too, Trey.
All righty. That was awesome. That's actually wrapping up our show here. Miss, I'll tell you this. We'll talk about that that stuff tomorrow. I want to talk about the Miz one. We will skip Sasha Banks, and I'll just talk about the Miz, so you don't have to watch an episode tonight. Okay.
Okay.
Give you a little break. All right. We'll do our buy or sell tomorrow as well, and then we will also do our I don't know what we'll do some more wrestling talk, because I want to talk about SmackDown tomorrow as well. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 p.m., 10 to midnight. Don't miss out. Don't forget, we also have our shows of the week tomorrow as well. Anything else we're missing? Have
No,
fun at NWF tonight.
I definitely will.
All right. Well, that is it for our show. I am Justin. That is Trey. On behalf of the Jay and Trey podcast team, thank you guys for listening to us on TNC Sports Talk channel. We'll check you out tomorrow night.
Peace.